Hello, my name is Lene Fischer, University of Copenhagen. This is a part of a lecture where we are going to work with Model Designer, and in this case it's only for vector data. The case is we have some fields, here the green ones, we have some streams, and we have some lakes. The cases create buffer zones for streams and for the lakes larger than 100 square meter. Clip the buffer from the fields and calculate the clipped area in hectare. I've been writing down the steps here, and I'm going to follow those steps here while I work. I made a previous video where I show how to use the Model Designer. So I press Processing, and I'm going to open the toolbox. And from here, I can choose models. I'm going to create a new model. First, I'm going to name this model here. It's going to be called buffer zones, fields. And I'm going to put it into a group, which I'm going to call class 2025. At first, I'm going to have some input, and the input here will be the fields sø, marker, vandløbkant. They are all vector data, so it's going to be vector layers. Sø and marker are polygons, and vandløbkant is a line layer. So in the input tab here, I simply scroll down and search for vector layer. I double click and press lake. Geometry type is a polygon, and it's mandatory. Double click. Stream, line, and mandatory. And the last one is fields, and it's polygon, and it's also mandatory. I could add comments for each layer up here, but in this case I just keep them open and press OK. There will also be another input. The input is the buffer width, and that input is going to be a number. I could have a fixed buffer width, but I'm going to put it in as a variable. So I'm searching for number, and the description here is buffer width in meter. I'm going to make it a float, and I don't put in a minimum or a maximum value here. And buffer width. Actually, I will put it like this here because the buffer width is going to be here in top. Now I moved it up here, but it's not going to be, when I run the dialog, it will not be in this order. So I'm going to click model and reorder model inputs. So here you can see buffer width in meter, that's correct, but I want to put the fields to the bottom here, so it'll be lake, stream, and fields. Okay, now I'm going to save, and I keep the folder where it's put in originally, and it will be called buffer zoned fields. Save. Let's try and see how it works. I press Run Model. Do you want it in this state? Yes. And you can see it will be put in with the buffer width, lake, stream, and fields. There will happen nothing when I press Run because I have not put any. I've not put anything in. It's just the input, so it will be finished here. Close. Now it's time to put in some algorithms. And algorithms I find in the toolbox. The first one is I want to find all lakes which are larger than 100 square meter. And normally I would have select by expression, but in this case here I will have extract by selection. So I simply write extract by expression. And here on the description I write what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take lake larger 100 square meter. And I want to use input, a model input, and I want to use the lakes. Under expression here, I could have a value pre-calculated value model input or algorithm output, but I'm simply going to make the expression here as a value. So I press expression and I write my expression $area larger than 100. This is my expression. And I press OK. And the matching features, now I'm going to write a name here called over 100. And I don't press any non-matching features here. So you can see I get lakes. If I move these here a little bit. So you can see the output lines. From the lake, I put in here for the algorithm, and for the output here would be lakes larger than 100 square meter. I press save and I press run. Lake, stream, fields, and output will be over 100 meter. I press run and let's see what has happened here. And I choose this one here and say zoom here, and you can see it has found all those lakes here. Let's see if I can find the one which is missing. It is very tiny, but there was one here which was missing. So I got the right result. I get lakes over 100 square meter. I close the result here and go back to my model. I don't need the output for the next task, so I simply click on this cross, so it will be deleted. So just to mention again, normally I would have chosen a select by expression, so my features would have been selected. But when I'm using the model designer, I need to extract the data instead of select them. Now I'm going to create a buffer on the selected, and I'm going to dissolve it, and that's on the buffer on the lake, this result which I had here. So I'm typing in here buffer, and then choose the first buffer here, and buffer lake larger 100 square meter. The data I'm going to use here will not be a model input, neither fields, lakes or streams. It will be an algorithm output the one I just created before. And that will be matching features from extract by expression. You can see I get a matching or a non-matching, but I will have the matching feature. Secondly, I'm going to choose the distance. You can see normally it puts a default value 10 meter, but I'm going to use a model input, which was the buffer width in meter. So I'm going to choose the model input, and you can see it only takes buffer width in meter because I only have one number here. So this is perfect. And I'm going to dissolve the result, pressing yes. And I now want to have a lake buffer and press OK. So now I have this second here. Oops. And I have the lake buffer as output. I press save and I press run. Buffer width will be now 20 meter. Lake, stream, field, and output lake buffer. Run and close. And you can see I get the lake buffers. If I put this on top here, you can see 20 meter buffers. I close the lake buffer again. It's quite annoying that press run and test it all the time, but building up a large model and run it in the end and go backtrack if there will be error. There will be errors while you're doing models. It's much more complicated to find an error than run it and debug it while building it. So now I close this one here and I go to the next. Now I'm going to make buffers on the streams, and I do it exactly the same way. So I create a buffer stream. I choose the streams. I choose the model input, and I'm going to dissolve the result, and I'm going to call it stream buffer. And totally like the other one, I will have an output here. And I'm going to press save, and I'm going to press run, buffer 20 meter, fields, run, close, and you can see the buffers here. When you start and work it on your own, it will go much faster. So don't worry about this debugging. Now I'm going to take those two buffer layers here, and I'm going to merge them into one layer. So I simply search for merge vector layers, merge vector layers here. Buffers, and the input here will be algorithm output. Normally I would have chosen to have the algorithm output, but in this case I can only choose one layer. Here I have to put in the value, so I can put in two layers in here. So I simply click on the two buffered layers. Do I need to add any source layer information? No. And what is called here is called merged. I press OK. And save and run. Now it's the merged layers here. Press run and close. You can see I get one layer which is merged. It contains two features, a multi-polygon for the lakes and a multi-polygon for the streams. Now I want to dissolve this into one. So I'm going to add a dissolve, simply writing dissolve. Dissolve, merge layers, and it is an algorithm output, which is the merged layers. And which fields I'm going to dissolve it from in this this part here, I'm just going to dissolve it universal, so I don't choose any fields here, but I choose dissolve. Okay. Save, run, and now it's dissolved. Run, and close, sorry. And you can see I've got one layer here. Deleting the dissolved here. What's next? Okay, now I have the dissolved merge layer, which is only have one buffer. Now I want to clip the fields with the dissolved layers. So I'm going to write clip and clip fields with dissolved. This model input here will be the algorithm output. Oh, I've been trying to use the wrong one instead of scrolling up here. I couldn't find out why this wouldn't work, but it was for the point cloud, sorry. So it was the clip here, the vector layer clip. So I'm going to clip dissolve with, sorry, clip fields with dissolve. And it's a field which is going to be the input, and the overlay, the layer which I'm going to use for clip, is an algorithm output, and that will be the dissolve from algorithm dissolve merge layers. And clip will be the output. Save, run, clip, run, close, and now you can see the clip, small clip here, which is small multi-polygons clipping out from the fields. This is correct, it's just what I want. The final task here is I want to drop some fields and calculate an area for the clipped area in hectare. There's actually a drop field here, so I can drop fields, and I can drop fields from an algorithm output, but here I need to write the names which I want to drop, so I need to know the field names, and it's very difficult for me, or I have to do a lot of other kind of work. So here, instead of drop fields, I want to use the refactor fields. The refactor fields here give me the possibility to load the fields, so I have field names, and I can also add a new field and calculate. So this is the one I'm going to use. The input layer will be an algorithm output, and it was the one I just clipped before. So that will be the one. And to load this here, I'm going to load the fields from the layer fields. That's the layer we clipped from. So it has the original fields. So I'm going to load those fields here. The first one is the FID. I'm going to delete that one. Field number, don't want to change anything, perhaps except from make it with capital letter, but that will not be a part of this lecture here. Normally I want to keep field names in non-capital letters, but I want to keep the field number, the EMK area, that's a number which has been reported, so that's the area before it was clipped. CVR, yep. This here I want to delete. This here I want to delete. So I've deleted 2 fields. And now I want to add a new field. And this new field here will be called area underscore HA for hectare. The source expression, I'm going to make it here. So I'm going to make an expression like this. And in here, I'm going to write the formula. It's going to be $area divided by 10,000. And press OK. Over here, I'm going to tell it will be a decimal number. If I want to make this calculation here, it will give me a result with multiple decimals. So I forgot that, so I simply press again the expression. And I'm going to make a round parenthesis, comma 2, end of parenthesis. And now it will be rounded with 2 decimals. Now I have entered this here, and it will be zones, area, hectare. I delete this clip from before. I have refactored the fields, and now I get the end result here. Save, run, buffer with 20 meter, lake, streams, fields, zones, area, hectare. Run, close, and I got the zones. And let's see if we got the area in hectare, and I got deleted those fields I don't want. Remark is I don't have an FID number out here because I deleted that one in the refactor field. But when I manually save this file as a geopackage, if I make an export, save feature as manually, it will automatically, after I've saved this one, add an FID. So this is not what I'm going to do here. I'm not going to save this, just keep it like this. End of this.